What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Double Coverage. I hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. I'm Dom with the great man, Sauce. How you going, brother?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
I'm always good, mate. Always good. You know, it's heating up in the F1s, the AFL, the UFC card that just went past this weekend was unbelievable.
Was a banger.
A few shocks there, which obviously you're going to get to, and of course the hobby. The National is finished as well. There's a bit of a wrap up there. One of the greatest personalities in the hobby may have been scammed, and we'll talk about that on the show. The one director of something. He's unfortunate. He's been caught by. Tyson Beck's doing great things there. Some more CT scanning stuff. Optic hobby. Mate, we could talk about this all day. And I tell you what, I can even tell you, I was on the phone. I didn't mention to this before the show, but I was on the phone with someone, and you know who it is, the great one. And I didn't even bring it up with him. The 50% reason why I called him, obviously the first 50% was I wanted to see how the great fella was going. The second 50% was I wanted to ask him about the round table, and I didn't even have to do it. He asked me. He said, when are we doing it? He goes, I'm ready to go. And he assured me, Source, and ladies and gentlemen listening, that he actually doesn't know what is happening this time around. So when we drop the things on him, he's going to literally have to react to what's been happening in the hobby on the round table. So Dan could be hitting him with some absolute zingers. And I'll tell you, this is the one episode, Source, when we get it up and running, once we work it out, this could be the one that ends the channel. Because, you know, when he doesn't know what's going on and he just starts dropping and flaming people left, right, and center, then we start getting banned and it opens a can of worms. And Rumble, here we come, I think. So we'll wait and see what happens. But you're well. Yeah, but you're well? You're all good?
Yes, good, mate. Good. I'm excited for a big show. And, look, excited for the show, down in other ways.
Yeah, well, as the title mentions, we'll talk about that. We are going to start with the AFL, Source. We'll get straight into it. The round 20 results started on Friday night, and Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium are very good. They make Ken Hinkley look like he's the greatest coach of all time. Maybe they should move from South Australia and just base themselves at Marvel. Might be the only chance they can win a flag. But they get the job done.
Carlton in trouble?
No Mackay. No Mackay in this one. But they did struggle, man. They struggled massively after half-time.
But they were up at half-time.
Yeah, they were smacking them.
They let it slip in that second half. So, you know, they just didn't come out after half-time, did the Blue Baggers, and put them to the sword. If you're a Carlton fan, I think, you know, after their first loss, I watched... as you know, Dom, I always tune into a little bit of Blue Abroad here and there, especially after a loss. You know, if it's after a win, they're all up and about. And if it's after a loss, I sort of someone want to see. And some supporters were upset with the loss. The first loss, I think they've lost 3 of their last 4 or something like that. 3 of their last 4,
yes.
And their first loss, you know, supporters were getting on there saying, come on, guys, are we really still like that as a supporter base? It was an off day. You know, let's give them a bit of slack on this one. They'll come back better next week. And they came back the next week and they lost. And they've lost another 2 since that first loss. So, you know, I'm not sure where the supporter base is sitting now. Because after the first loss that they had, most recent loss of these last 3 losses, they weren't too worried. But now, if I was a Carlton supporter, I would start to get a little bit jittery.
Source, did you watch the latest episode? I didn't tune in. But if you haven't watched it, maybe wait till the end of this week. Because they play Collingwood. If they lose to the Pie, Source this week, tune in, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I want them having 50,000 people watching their show this week.
Tune in.
Everyone. From all supporter bases, you need to watch that show.
And what we're asking you to tune in specifically is after the loss, they do a live call-in sort of situation like they do on the radio.
It's like this. It's like a StreamYard. They jump into StreamYard.
They jump on, and the fans get on and they speak from their phones or their tablets or their laptop, whatever.
And they talk from their heart. They talk from their heart.
Exactly. They talk from their heart, and they do not hold back on that.
It's uncensored, ladies and gentlemen.
It's uncensored. It is uncensored.
So watch that very, very closely if they do lose this week to the Pies. You don't want to be losing to the Pies at all.
No.
Because their top four spot, we'll show the ladder in a moment, but their top four spot is in a bit of jeopardy because it's so close in that 8. Even outside the 8, there's so many teams pushing
there's still
to make
potential if they don't, they could miss the 8.
I know. You don't want to be losing to the Pies. You'll be under so much pressure. So if you lose to the Pies this week. Anyway, we'll wait and see. But they got done by 14 by Port. Then on Saturday, 1:45, the primetime game on a Saturday afternoon, North Melbourne get done by 40. I don't know how the Cats beat us in Hobart by 40, but anyway, they did. And I'll cop it on the chin. Good to see Cam Zuha re-signed. I know everyone else is re-signing, Sauce, but there's only one person that needs to re-sign for the Roos, and that's LD Sue. So I'm hoping he signs, and then I'll be content. I know that there's a 3P coming once he signs, and I'll be happy. I'll be very content. If he doesn't sign, well, we're in a bit of trouble.
Let him have hope, ladies and gentlemen. Let him have hope.
The Lions beat the Suns at home by 28. The Lions are gone. I think they're 8-8 now, Sauce. Since the bye.
They are flying.
They are the number 1 ranked team in the AFL.
Mate, you couldn't be wanting to hit the type of form that they're hitting at a better time of the season, Doma. Like, let's be honest. This is the time of the season where you want to be playing your best footy on the lead up to finals. And, I mean, they're still on to potentially win the flag.
Do you know who the top 4 teams are from the bye? Do you know who they are? I'll tell you who they are. I know who they are. I can tell you who they are.
Yeah, Lions,
Dockers, Dogs.
Yeah.
So I think Lions are 9-0 now. 8. Yeah, 8 straight Lions. Hawks 7-1. They'd be second on the ladder. And then Dockers and Dogs 6-2. The 4 best teams. Unbelievable, man. And like you always say, as the great man Sauce says all the time, it's not what you do in the first half of the year. It's what you do in the second half leading into finals. If you can have a clean bill of health on your list leading into finals and you've got the momentum, doesn't mean shit if you're in the top 4 for the first 13 rounds. It means nothing. If you can't win in the second half of the season.
That could be the Swans this year. Seriously, they are in serious jeopardy.
They're struggling big time.
You know, as much as everyone was saying they're the team, they're going to win the flag this year, the first, 12 rounds, 13 rounds, 14 rounds. It's how you end the season. It really is.
Whispers.
And they can turn it around.
Whispers that Grundy might not be playing this week.
Yeah, there you go.
The next game, this was a cracker. If you're a Bombers fan, the Saints beat the Bombers by 53 points at Marvel. I didn't catch any of this. So this is just going to be a review from you on the spot here.
Well, look, I can only speak to the first half because I only seen the first half. Then I had to actually go to a wedding, and sometimes in these cases, most cases, I'd say unfortunately, but fortunately this time that I did have to go to the wedding because I didn't have to watch that putrid of a second half effort where in the third quarter I just seen a stat that we had 0 hard ball gets in the third quarter when we got 7 goals to 1 kicked against us. So just when push came to shove in the game, in the third quarter, Essendon didn't stand up and they weren't there. The season on the line, and well, technically the season not being over because we are on 42 points, and there's Hawks and Bulldogs are on 44, but we have to start winning some games. But I am calling it. The season is over. That's it. It's done. We lost to St Kilda, and not just lost to St Kilda. We got smashed by St Kilda. Smashed. Absolutely disgraceful. I don't
Ridley
know.
Injured too, so you lose Ridley for 4 weeks.
I don't know what's happened, at the club. Where's it all gone wrong? You make changes as a club. You bring in new coach. You bring in, other players as well, and you hope that things change. But still, the same issues that have been at this club for the last, so many years.
24 years, mate. Well,
right? Still there. There's a period, and look, I said to someone, there's a period there where we copped obviously the sanctions and the issues with the drug scandal and all that sort of stuff. You can't really, that period there's a write-off. And the small period after that is a write-off. 5 years I'd probably consider nearly a write-off, right? But once we got to the point where we're having starts to seasons where we're starting the season 8-4, or we're starting the season, like how we did this season, and then falling off in the second half of the season, it's happened time and time again, to the point where people are getting fed up, Doma. I'm in a few groups on Facebook. I'm in the shout out to the Lunchtime Catch-Up Pod. I listen to their pod sometimes. It's Essendon Pod, the Sash, the Don. There's a few Facebook groups that I'm in. They've got all over 10,000 members they've got in there, in those groups. And numerous people have commented and saying that they rang up and have cancelled their auto-renew for their membership next year. So you got Essendon supporters that are beginning to be fed up. And I think, I don't know where things need to change or what needs to change, but, what's happening at the moment and the issues that are happening at this club are, pretty bad, because it's been going on for, I could say comfortably, say 8 to 10 years, the way we've fallen away in this manner. And then, let alone that, the inability to win a final in 20 plus years, it's just becoming a joke. It's becoming a joke.
Yeah, it's not great. Not great at all for Essendon fans. So, yeah, it's I look like a fool with talking about Brad Scott on this podcast about a month ago. I said he had a great coach, but you're playing good football and you've just dropped off. Like you said, you don't know what it is. And I can understand the frustration as a supporter, mate. You're watching your team fall off at the same point in every season. It's like, what are you doing?
I'm not sure if you've seen there was a bit of like a floating video of pretty much our last four coaches, Worsfold, Rutten, Bomber Thompson, I think even Hurd, they clipped them all together, all them saying the exact same thing in a different way. And that being them trying to work out why there is so much fluctuation in Essendon's best football and Essendon's worst football. Because the best teams, they don't allow that there's not such a big fluctuation in their good performances and their worst performances. They may have an off day, but good teams still find ways to win when they have an off days.
Correct.
You've seen Richmond do it in those years where they won flags. You've seen Hawthorn do it in those years they won flags.
Collingwood's done it for the last 3 years.
Thank you very much, right? So they find ways to win. And that hasn't been Essendon for a number of years. We haven't been that since 2001, mate. Let's
fair enough. That's a fair shout.
So, I don't know. I'm sort of, I'm disappointed because, Dom, I tried to have a bit more hope. You see me, I'm always, as an Essendon supporter, I'm very much a glass half empty type of supporter, right? Because it's been year after year after year after year of disappointment. And I tried to be different this year. I tried to adapt a different mentality, but they just, you adapt that different mentality. You see it half full, glass half full, and they literally just grabbed that glass and just pissed in it and tipped it on the ground, right? That's what they did.
Yeah, it's not great. Not great at all. Let's move on with the next one. Source. Giants beat the D's by 2 points at the G. Fremantle beat West Coast by 35. Collingwood beat Richmond by 26. The Dogs beat Sydney in Sydney, as you mentioned before, by 39 points. They're playing amazing football. It's one of the best patches in the history of the Western Bulldogs Football Club. The way they're playing, which is unbelievable. So they've turned it around. This is all, mate. This is funny. Just think about the teams that are involved in all of this. Source. Beveridge, get rid of him. Everyone hates him at the club. That was the story at the start of the year. Correct?
Yeah.
He's got to go. He's lost the whole playing group. No one wants to play for him. All right? They're on the verge of top four. They're arguably the third or fourth best team. Brisbane Lions, Vegas trip. Absolute shambles of a football club. They're not even going to make finals. This and that. 8 and 8. They're going to be top of the ladder, mate. By the end of the season.
We got sucked into a little bit of it. We did.
I'm not saying that we didn't.
Controversy.
But
I'm just saying. They've turned it around. And Fremantle
had that drop-off period in the middle of the season. And they were just like, too defensive. where's all the attack going to come from? Bang, third on the ladder, absolutely dominating. The only one that I can't fold is Hawthorn. They just turned it around, mate. They just play amazing brand of football. So, but 3 of those top 4 teams there from the second half of the year, that we knew Fremantle, because they started pretty well, would probably make finals. Did we think they'd be a top 4 team? Probably not. I did say that in the preseason preview, I said they'd be dead last, but well, you said Richmond, so you're on the yeah, Lemon. So anyway, it's been crazy to watch. It's been a cracker season so far, absolute cracker on how close it is.
Season. Yeah, and look, I think obviously leading into this last period of the season, Lions, Bulldogs, you could say Fremantle, Giants, they're starting to play some good football again. There's some teams there that can really come up and shake up the Swans and the Blues, who have stayed at the top there for most of the season. And it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out and who actually finishes in the top 8. Because what is there? How many games to go? 4 games to go, Doma?
4 games to go. The last game in the last round, Hawthorn smashed Adelaide by 66 points. So they're just playing great football. But this week's Source, there's some big games. Let's get to the tipping. And it starts with tonight. And we've got the Dogs versus the D's at Marvel.
Dogs versus the D's. Oh, there's 2 Friday night games, Doma.
Is there? Oh, shit. I didn't even realise that.
You got the West Coast and Gold Coast too. Anyway, we'll go with that one first. I'm going to go with the Dogs.
Yeah, same. West Coast versus Suns. Oh, Gold Coast don't know how to win away from home. So this is actually a tough tip.
I know it is a tough. I want to tip Gold Coast, but we've seen how shit they are away from home. But then it's in that situation like, is West Coast already on their?
They got some big ins. This
big
week.
ins, mate. They're already thinking about their overseas trip that they've planned for the Cancun. I'm going to go with Gold Coast.
I'm also going with Gold Coast. There's actually some tough tips this week, Source. North Melbourne versus Richmond at Marvel.
I'm going to this game, Doma.
Yes.
I'm going to this game, and I'm tipping North. I'm going to wear this is my unofficial North Melbourne, because it's the Navy. You know what I mean?
It's the same colours. We'll take it.
Same colours. So I'm picking North.
And shout out to North. We hit 50,000 members, mate. So that's pretty good for our football club.
On the up. On IG, Kobe Cards says, as a Bomber supporter, I need therapy every year is a letdown. Yes, Kobe, I'm with you, man. We need some sort of therapy. We need an Essendon support group that just where we can all just come together and realize that we're slightly messed up for supporting such a dreadful club for the last 20 years.
Kobe says Dogs have a 4-day break. Demons to bounce back, he reckons. Ooh, could be an interesting one. Geelong versus Adelaide, Source at GMHBA.
Geelong.
I'm going Geelong as well. Collingwood, Carlton.
I am going to tip Collingwood.
I'm tipping the Pies as well. Yeah. Port Adelaide versus Sydney.
Page there. We just want it for one reason. Reason only.
Yep. Port Adelaide versus Sydney in Adelaide.
I'm going Port.
So am I.
Sydney have a few injuries. I'm not sure if you've seen. They've got actually quite a few injuries to some great talent. So not the right time that Sydney wants to be getting these injuries. That's for sure.
Another cracker. Giants versus Hawks in Canberra. This game.
This is a good match. Great matchup. I'm gonna go the Hawks.
I'm going the Hawks as well. They've been my Collingwood this season.
They have.
Hello, Magda. How are you? North to win big this week, Dommy says. I hope so. The Bombers versus the Dockers.
I'm picking Fremantle. That's it.
I'm also going Fremantle. In the last game, the Saints versus Brisbane at Marvel.
Brisbane.
I'm going Brisbane as well. Very nice. I don't think we tipped anyone different this week. Nope. We're on the same page. That's just the way it is. Here is the live ladder, ladies and gentlemen.
Bring it up. Magda says, where's the Essendon edge, mate? The Essendon edge left us in the year 2000, 2001, mate. Hasn't been there since.
Is it going to share? Come on. StreamYard. Jeepers, look how close it is.
There we go. You still think the Swans would finish on top?
No, well, if they lose to the... Mate, I'm telling you, if they lose
lost 4 of their last 5.
They could lose again this week. So we've got Swans, Lions, Fremantle, Carlton. Oh, so we'll just go Sydney, Brisbane, Fremantle in that top 4. Then equal 4th, we have Carlton, GWS, Geelong, Port Adelaide. Equal 4th. Equal 5th. We have the Bulldogs versus Hawthorn. I'm not sure why they're called Footscray this week. It must be something to do with something. Oh, isn't it? Oh no, it's is a retro round this week? It could be that. That's the reason why.
Maybe.
And then standalone 6th really is Essendon. I know they're in 10th, but on 42. And then in 7th, we've got the D's and the Pies on equal 40 points.
So technically, all the way from there, from Collingwood all the way up, can still potentially make the finals.
Yes. So from 1st to 12th. And you can easily drop out if you're in the fourth to 8th, you can easily be out of the finals if you drop a couple games. So we'll wait and see what happens. But it is very tight at the top.
It's going to be a massive end to the season.
Global, welcome. We actually should do the predictor based on our tips this week, to be honest, to see how it's going to look.
Do it. You did it last week. That was interesting.
I'll get it back up. It's going to load.
Look, free promo from bloody Continental Tires.
Yeah, give them a shout out. All right, here we go. So we tipped Dogs.
Yep.
So they're top 4. West Coast, that's a nothing. Oh, no, Gold Coast, sorry.
Gold Coast.
They moved to 11th. No, we tipped North. Geelong, 2nd.
Yep.
Pies, we tipped 10th.
Oh, Carlton would go down to 7th.
Yeah, but it gets worse for Carlton. Port Adelaide, we tipped 8th. Carlton. Who do we... Hawthorn. 7th Carlton, they go up a spot if that happens. Dockers, 2nd, and then we tip the Lions, mate, and they'll be outright 2nd. So this is how the ladder would look at the end of this round.
Blues would be sitting in 7th.
Jeez. And
I tell you what, Doma, if somehow Carlton doesn't manage to make the finals, oh my days.
Forget about it.
I don't think we could. There wouldn't be a better episode of Blue Abroad to date.
You'd have to shut down. You'd have to shut down the club if they didn't make finals from here. Straight out.
Look,
they'd have to fold.
I say this, Carlton supporters, but I really don't think it will happen.
Well, they got Collingwood, Hawthorn, West Coast over there.
Yeah.
And St Kilda to finish the season.
You'd think that.
But the Saints game is always like they play the Saints at Marvel, so I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's not their favourite place, Marvel.
So we'll wait and see what happens. But that's what's going to happen if we tip 9 this week. That's the ladder.
Which won't happen.
And the Bombers would be in a lot of trouble to make finals if you lose this week, because then you'll be...
We're not making finals already. I've already conceded, Doma. We're not making finals.
All right, let's move on. We're getting caught up on the AFL here, mate. I know everyone loves it. F1. Sorry. First of all, we like to go week to week global, mate, because we like to see how it could pan out. I don't want to predict the future because there could be a big injury this week to someone, and it costs... Yeah. And apologies, Global, we didn't get off the ground. We'll see after the mid-season break if we can get it off the ground, mate.
I've been falling asleep. So
he's been falling asleep. Sleepy Saucy. That's what it would have been.
It would have been Sleepy Sauce on the stream.
Well, Lewis Hamilton wins this race, Sauce, because Georgie Russell gets disqualified over a weight issue.
Yeah, what was it in the end? It obviously wasn't like not enough fuel in the tank. It was.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Weighed too much, or 1.5 kilos less. So they didn't do the fuel properly. I don't know what happened there. There's a lot of conspiracy behind it. I don't know. You know what it's like. Hamilton ends up winning. I don't know. You got all these technicians on the computer screens, mate, in the pits, and they can't tell what's going to happen with the weight. Like, come on. Anyway, it is a bit with the technology in F1 these days. But who gives a shit? Because Oscar Piastri ends up finishing second. He's gone to win his first race last week to finishing second. Charles Leclerc somehow on the podium. I don't know where this guy's been for about 5 weeks. Since Monaco, he's been non-existent, and he's just popped up and he's finished on the podium. Max Verstappen in fourth. Unfortunate for Lando Norris, Verstappen extends his lead by 2 points over him. Carlos Sainz in sixth, Perez in seventh, Alonso in eighth, Ocon in ninth, Daniel Ricciardo in 10th. Once again proves that he's the better driver over Yuki Tsunoda after that. Obviously, the mishap from last race, they cost Daniel Ricciardo massively. He drove really, really well, ended up getting the points. And then, as we always say, no one gives a stuff about outside the top 10, except Georgie Russell, who was disqualified, and Guan Zhou finished DNF. Big whoop. The biggest news source, obviously, we've got the mid-season break, so we've got no F1 to cover until the 25th of August. And that will be Max Verstappen's home Grand Prix, because it is the Dutch Grand Prix. We will cover it there. And as we know, if you've watched Drive to Survive on Netflix, this is always the period in Drive to Survive where it's the transfer window. And there's drivers that get chopped and changed and get axed here and there and this and that. Obviously, the biggest news, I don't know if you saw it during the week, Source, but Carlos Sainz is going to drive for Williams next season.
Yep, seen it.
Obviously, we know that Lewis Hamilton's gone to Ferrari. He was out of a seat. And everyone kept saying, he might go to Mercedes. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned on the show, he was never going to Mercedes. I don't know what's happening with that seat, Source, because it's empty. That George Russell partner is empty. The second seat at Mercedes, there's no one there. I don't know if they're going to elevate a young kid to put him with George Russell to make him the number one guy. But from what I've seen with George Russell, I know they love him, but I think Toto Wolff, I think he's got an ace up his sleeve, mate, somewhere. I don't know who's going to drive for Mercedes in that second seat next year. Perez, they reckon they could axe him in the next 4 weeks. And he might not be driving for him next year. And that Daniel Ricciardo could be in that seat. Yeah, he's held it. So is that official that he's held it for the short term? I thought they were going to meet next week. Or was it this week, maybe? Anyway, it's short term.
It's interesting. It's all going to play out, Dom. It's all going to play out, isn't it? And we're going to find out who Mercedes is going to have there next year, and that's the big question.
The greatest thing that could happen, Source, at the end of this season, like as crazy as it sounds, Max wins the World Championship, or he potentially loses it in the second half of the season because Red Bull's been shocking. They've been so bad, so bad. Imagine he says, I want out of my contract. And he goes to Mercedes. And he drives there next year. I can't see it happening.
I don't see it happening. But
that youngster, Kimi, has the seat at Mercedes. Well, until it's officially announced. It's up for grabs, mate. But we definitely know they didn't go with a talented, experienced driver in Carlos Sainz, which I found quite interesting, to be honest. So anyway, next Grand Prix is on the 25th of August. We'll cover it closer to the date. All right, Source, bit of UFC, and then we can talk some Olympics.
All right, Doma. UFC 304 was over the past weekend. Hang on. Oh yes, I found my favorite website, so we can actually bring it up and have a look at the results. UFC 304, Leon Edwards against Bilal Muhammad. There it is. if you were living under a rock, Bilal Muhammad got the win. You had Tom Aspinall defeating Curtis Blades with it was a heavyweight interim title bout. Got the knockout inside round one. You had Paddy the Baddie Bimlet defeating Bobby Green. Once again, putting to bed all the haters that have said that this is his toughest test, this and that. I mean, he couldn't have dominated that any more than he did. Won inside 3 minutes, submitting Bobby Green, which is, you submit anyone. He actually put him to sleep, Doma. He put him to sleep.
Why is he called King Green?
I don't know. That's just what they got him there.
Well, he looked like the court jester on the weekend, so...
Gregory Rodriguez defeated Christian Leroy Duncan. Arnold Allen defeated Giga Chikadze. And then you had the prelims, if you want to go down and have a look at those. There was some good fights. Not sure if you've seen the whole saga that went on with these two guys, Muhammad Mokav and Manel Cape. It was just mayhem. There's words after that. Dana White said they're not going to even sign Mokav again because he was his last fight on his contract. But we don't know what's going to happen. But I'll talk to the main event. Obviously, I went with Leon Edwards slightly. I wasn't confident. Bilal Muhammad has sort of put to bed all these haters, and in that performance was just absolutely dominant. Doma, if we have a look at the stats here, you've got total strikes 192 to 89 Bilal's way. You got takedowns 9-2 Bilal's way. And then significant strides 68 to 47 Bilal's way. It was a dominant performance. It was probably only round 5 where, Leon Edwards looked half decent. All the other rounds, he got absolutely pummeled. Here we got round 3 where, he might have been on top a little bit there. So maybe he may have won round 3 and 5, but, Bilal was definitely the winner if you look at the fight as a whole. Disappointing from Edwards. Bilal is now on top. We'll be interested to see, where that pans out and who he defends against first. So congrats to obviously Bilal Muhammad. I've talked about him for a long time on this show that I think a lot of people underestimated his abilities, and that with every fight, when, I always talk about, every single fight he came up, as he was coming through, he was getting better and better and better, and to the point that when he got his title opportunity, he absolutely dominated. And never know, maybe he's going to have multiple title defenses, but if he's to back up all his talk, he needs to have multiple title defenses and retain the title for at least 3 or 4 fights would be ideal. And then you had the heavyweight Tom Aspinall knocking out Curtis Blades, first round knockout, domination inside 1 minute. Doma, it was an absolute clinic. Now what happens? John Jones in the heavyweight division's going to come back. There's apparently going to be a fight against Stipe, and then after whoever those two fight, Aspinall wants to fight for the to decide whoever obviously is the one sort of heavyweight champion, because technically John Jones is the heavyweight champion, but then he got injured, so they stripped him of the belt, and now Tom Aspinall's the interim champion. So obviously, ideally, it would be Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. Maybe when he comes back, I don't know what's going to happen, but that's an interesting space. The heavyweight division looks like it could have some big fights over the next 12 months. And then Paddy the Baddie defeating King Green, as I mentioned, with the submission. And I won't really go into the other fights too much more, but it was a cracking card, Doma, absolutely cracking card. 304, and the upcoming this week you've got UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. It's an absolute cracker. Corey Sandhagen, number 2 in the bantamweight division, against Umar Nurmagomedov. And then you've got this bloke, you know who this is, Doma, Shara Magmedov, the bloke who is blind in one eye. Yes, you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. He's actually blind in one eye, and he still gets in there to fight. And that's that. I was literally just wondering where this was, and it makes sense. It is in the United Arab Emirates, because I'm not sure if you're aware, Doma, but Shara Magomedov isn't actually allowed to fight in America, not because of his visa issues, but because the sanctions, the fighting body will not sanction the fight in America because he's blind in one eye. So they do not want to allow the fight to go ahead. But obviously, as we know, the in the United Arab Emirates and places like Saudi Arabia, anything goes. So as long as there's money there to pay, and so he always fights over there in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates and those countries in that part of the world. So it's still great that we get to see him in action because he's an absolute beast, Dom. I actually genuinely say to people to have him being blind in one eye doesn't affect him. It just doesn't. Like he's that much of a freak. I think he'd win this fight against his opponent Mikhail Ozchiziku, the bloke out of Poland. So that's in the middleweight fight. And then you got Marlon Vera against Divison Figueroa. That's an absolute cracker. You got Tony Ferguson against Michael Chiesa. You got Mackenzie Dern against Lupi Gondens. Yoel Alvarez against Alves Barrena. I'm just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, for a fight night, this is an absolute cracking of a card. So tune in this weekend. I'm not going to go through the rest of the card. You can check it out yourself. But it starts from 2 a.m. Sunday morning. If you want to stay up late, that's the prelim. Or you can just get up on early hours of the morning. The main card starts from 5 a.m. If you do get up from around 6:30 a.m., you'll probably catch the last 3 fights of the main card, most likely, or last 2 fights of the main card. But tune in this weekend, UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. It looks like an absolute cracker.
Beautiful. Very well done, Saucy. All right, let's quickly move on to the Olympics. It's been great performance by the Aussies so far. 8 gold, Sauce. 8 gold, 6 silver, 4 bronze, total of 18 medals. We'll take it. There's been some shocks, to be honest, in a few of the swimming races that we thought we would get gold. But in a couple other ones, we thought we'd get a medal. But, we've pulled out gold medals in those. So, obviously, the women's 4x200 and women's 4x100 freestyle relays. Great win by all those women involved. Jess Fox, 2 gold medals in the canoeing. So, amazing work by her.
Absolute.
Caitlin McKeon, swimming gold medal in the 100-meter backstroke. Molly O'Callaghan, gold in the 200-meter freestyle. Ariane Titmus, gold in the women's 400-meter freestyle, and Grace Brown, cycling women's road time trial, gold medal to her. So great stuff. Silvers to Elijah Winnington in the men's 400-meter freestyle, men's 4x100 meter freestyle relay, silver there. Chris Burden, silver in equestrian. Titmus, silver in women's 200. Chalmers got the 100-meter freestyle silver. Didn't acknowledge the Chinese swimmer that won the gold in that one, Source. A bit of controversy there. He wasn't happy. The Chinese swimmer said he was snubbed, which fair enough. And then Zach Stubley Cook, who we thought was going to win gold, ended up with the silver. And then a whole bunch of bronze there. Jemima Montag and Aths in the 20K walk. Penny Smith in the shooting. Natalia Diem in the cycling, in the BMX. Great work by her. And then the men's 4x200 meter freestyle relay, bronze for them as well. So the Aussies, they've turned up. They're doing pretty well. I'm not sure what
couple of disappointments where we thought maybe we might have had a chance to get a medal, but what can you do? One of them obviously being the rugby sevens in the women. I feel like we should have done a bit better there. It was a bit of a disappointment to obviously not even beat the Yanks and win the bronze medal. That was disappointing. I was right into the rugby sevens because, as you know, Dom, I watch the rugby sevens because it's on all year round, and I watch the rugby sevens when I can, and I catch it. It's an entertaining game. But so it was one that I was entrenched. I was trying to catch as much of it as I can, and it was disappointing to see the Australian women's not take home a medal. Neighbours across the ditch won the gold. The New Zealanders.
That's all right. Good on them. Shout out also to all the ladies in the women's Olympic team. That all of our gold have been female athletes. They won all 8 of our gold. So great work by them, man. They're killing it. They're doing fantastic stuff.
Yeah, but up the men. What are you doing, man?
Yeah, well, and then obviously I'm looking at you got to go look at the Yanks and see what they're doing, mate. They haven't been as great in the pool, which is fantastic. We love to see that. Apologies to anyone from the States listening, but they got the job done in the 4x100.
They're winning gold in the
Simone Biles.
Foregone conclusion.
Simone Biles put on a clinic in the gymnastics, so she's killed it. Fencing in the team, men's four. Anyway, there's a lot of
Look,
silvers here, a lot of bronze.
I'll be honest with you, Doma. There's a couple of sports in there that I really could not give a flying fuck about.
Like what? Like what?
Fencing being one.
Mate, come on. This is the epitome.
Equestrian being two.
No, you wait for the next one in LA. I have heard. Well, I know we made a joke about it on this podcast, but I have heard that flag football is going to be in the Olympics in LA in 2028. And yes, Patrick Mahomes is going to win gold medal at the 2028 Olympics. Listen, I don't care if you got any of these flag football stupid leagues outside the NFL. Just go get your best players. Get Tyreek Hill. Listen to me. Go get Patrick Mahomes and just make an all-star team. Get Kelsey, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey. Just go build the greatest team of all time. And just win. Just win the gold.
Well, I'm not sure if you've seen there was a lady that in American lady who invests in athletics or women's sports, and she's come out and invested $4 million for every year over 4 years leading up to the LA Olympics for the women's rugby sevens team. So pressure's on. They want them to obviously do well at the LA Olympics and represent, for the Americans. So, they invest that type of money in the athletes. They expect to get a return, the return being gold medal. So the pressure is on. The pressure is on, and there's going to be some. It wouldn't surprise me, Dom. They want to obviously host the Olympics and win the most gold medals at their own Olympics that they host. So by throwing that in there, 100% you're guaranteeing gold medal. You already guaranteed a gold medal in the basketball. Yeah, Simone Biles is going to absolutely dominate in the gymnastics again. So you're already locking
Patrick Mahomes is going to win a gold in the flag football.
Yeah, flag football. There you go.
You might even get Tom Brady to go play, come out of retirement. That's one thing he hasn't got, a gold medal.
There you go.
Just put him as the backup QB on the bench.
Backup QB / coach.
Yeah, they win a gold, counts to his legacy. Mate, it's just, come on, man. What are we doing?
I'll just say they haven't even got, as I said, futsal. Why is that not in there? Five-a-side.
I don't know.
Right? Why is that not in there? Darts. Why is darts not in the World Cup? In the Olympics, sorry. Why is darts not in the Olympics?
It'd be so good.
It's literally so many different nations play it. Why the hell is it not in there? Should be 100%, and it's literally a round robin tournament.
You get to see Liddy Littler for England. It'd be elite to watch. How good would it be? It actually would be amazing. Now, listen, Brisbane 2032. We've got the Olympics. Listen to me, Australia. From double coverage to Australia, you have to put in AFL 9s. I want a guaranteed gold medal. Put it in. I don't care if there's 4 teams in the comp and no one can field a side. I don't give a shit. If the Americans are putting flag football in so they can guarantee gold medals to add to their tally, you put in AFL 9s and you win a gold. Just do it. That's it.
Locking up a gold.
What else we got here?
Did you see? Another thing. Did you see the triathlon, Doma? Did you see they had to swim in the in that water?
Man,
when they were jumping into that, I'm like, mate, that can't be any cleaner than the Yarra River.
Bro, they spent did they spend $2 billion to try and clean that river, and it didn't even make a dent. It was something stupid. Maybe not 2 million. 200 million, maybe.
They should never have forced the triathlon athletes to swim in that. That is a disgrace. That is a disgrace.
I'm just checking. $1.5 billion to clean it. They attempt. That's correct. That's probably the best word. Attempt to clean up the sign. They spent $1.5 billion to build a giant underground storage bin to catch stormwater when it rains, so that it wouldn't overwhelm the sewer system and flow into the river. Now, I've seen a few athletes that. Did you see the athletes that were getting out of the water vomiting? They were like violently ill. Have you seen that?
No.
One of the athletes said, I think it was a female, she said she dove in and she saw things under there and felt things that should never be felt when you're swimming in a triathlon. And that just lets me know there was shit in the water. That's what it means. So that'll dead bodies.
That's just how you're an elite athlete. That's the pinnacle of your sport.
I'm telling you.
Try and you're forced to swim in and do that.
You do know this Olympics, ladies and gentlemen, has been an absolute abomination. It's been a disgrace.
Yeah, straight from the
opening ceremony, what they did. I'm not going to get into that on this podcast.
No politics on this show, but
yeah, but from that,
you're an absolute peanut.
From that to this, all right, to the boxing yesterday, the women, women's boxing. I'll put that in question. Yeah, to the village. Have you heard about the village?
Yes, I've seen it. I've seen.
They ran out of meat. It's all vegan options. They ran out of meat and chicken, poultry for the athletes. These are the world-class athlete source, the best of the best. They ran out of food and they're sleeping on cardboard.
Yes, they're sleeping on cardboard beds
because they don't want athletes slamming each other. That's mate. Listen, IOC, the International Olympic Committee. You speak to any athlete that's been to the Olympics. After they finish the event, the village is only used for one thing and one thing only, mate. And it's not to go get breakfast. All right? Maybe it's breakfast in a different sense. You're an idiot.
A lot of that going on.
Have you heard what the US men's basketball team did? Team USA? No. Because they can afford it, ladies and gentlemen. They banded together, the team. They shared $15 million. They split the cost, $15 million across the team. And they put up all the team members, the coaches, the training staff in I don't know if it was like a Marriott or a Westin or something, like a real good hotel. And inclusive of that $15 million, they're paying the cooking staff there, private chefs, to cook them all their meals whenever they want. 15 mil. They can afford it, mate. LeBron makes that when he goes and sits on the toilet in one afternoon.
That's nothing for them.
Feel sorry for Derek White. Like, he has to fork out some money. That's a bit harsh. But anyway, Jason Tatum should cover his cost. He helped him win a title. So, but seriously, the Team USA went, we are not doing this. Can you imagine Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid source? Any basketball player, but I'm using them because they're
high rises. They're in high rises.
Yes, I'm just using Embiid and Davis as the example because they're the two biggest guys on Team USA. But can you imagine them sleeping in that cardboard shoebox? Can you?
I've seen it. I've seen videos of it from the athletes on social media.
Can you imagine Victor Wembanyama sleeping in that?
It's actually nuts. It's actually nuts. Like,
it's been terrible.
The conditions.
It's the athletes obviously make the Olympic Games because that's what you're there to watch. But the organization and the logistics behind the event and the event management, it has been poor. Shit. Absolutely shit. That's what it's been. Straight out. And like you said, it all started with the opening ceremony, and it's just slowly, 2 days into the event, they got no food, they got none of this. It's shocking. It's shocking.
Absolutely.
Don't worry about what happened global. Just type in women's boxing controversy Olympics and you can read it yourself.
Yeah.
Mate. Anyway, the Italiana, she got screwed. That's all I'm saying. But, Jake Paul's come to the rescue, Source. Jakey Paul. I don't know if you've seen this. He said he'd give her an opportunity to fight on his boxing promotion so she can show her talents to the world because she was robbed. That's what he said. He goes, hopefully we can send this message to her. It reaches her. And he goes, I'll happily have her fight on my boxing promotion so the world can see how great of a boxer she is.
There you go.
Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake.
Throwing bones out there.
Jake the
He's
Snake.
he's obviously trying to, look a little bit good. He needs a little bit of positive publicity. So why not?
Jake the Snake.
Why not?
Gotta love it. Anyway,
The Olympics. Look, as
we'll cover it again next week because the Aussies will win another 18 gold.
But yeah, there you go. There's the darker side of what's been happening at these Paris Olympics, and I can only speak to this, Doma. I've been to Paris on 3 separate occasions, and I'll be honest with you, I'll be honest with everyone out there. It's not that beautiful of a city. It's pretty dirty. It's pretty grungy. It's rats in the subway. Like, you'll be in the subway, you'll see rats, like not just 1 or 2 rats, multiple rats running around. It's not that great of a place, other than obviously being known for the the Champs-Élysées and the bloody Eiffel Tower and a few places like that. It's not that beautiful of a city. I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. There is much other more beautiful cities and places to visit in Europe, and even in France itself, other places. I've been to Lyon, and I actually think Lyon is a lot more of a nicer town, city than Paris. It's not that great of a place. And yeah, don't, if you're planning to go to Europe or go on holidays, don't, put Paris as number 1 on the list. That's for sure. If you can make it there, you can make it there. If not, there's much better places to visit.
Oh, throw shade. Well, he has been there 3 times.
I've been there 3 times, mate. So, mate, what do you want? That's all.
Mate, I've been there once. And it was with you early on when we were in high school. And even I still remember from back. I haven't been back to Europe since, mate. And I even remember it being dirty back then. So, and we went into all the touristy parts, and it was a bit like not. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Well,
let me just put it this way, right? The last time I went there, no, not the last time. This was probably about 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, 10 years ago, and I went and watched a PSG game. I went and watched PSG against some low club. It was back when Zlatan Ibrahimovic was playing for them. Cavani, I think Lavezzi was there at the time. So they had a really, really good team. They won 5-0, and after the game, it was absolute mayhem to get to I caught the train there. It was absolute mayhem to get. There was like one train station entrance, and everyone was trying to go in this train station. So I said, stuff this. I'm just going to walk for a bit in that direction. I knew I was going in that direction. So I just started walking away from the stadium. And I'll tell you what, I was by myself, and I was walking through the streets. And then I really, really seen the true parts of Paris when you just walk through the streets and you're not in the touristy parts. You got the stadium. Yes, around the stadium will be good, but as you start to get further and further a bit away from the stadium, you see the grunginess, you see the dirtiness. You see you see the type of action you see early mornings on Elizabeth Street here in the city. But let's just put it this way: it's 5x the amount of people. That's sort of just loitering around the street. So it's, I didn't feel unsafe, but maybe because I'm a male. If you're a female, you probably wouldn't have been doing something like that, and that the game finished at 10 o'clock at night. It was a night fixture, 10:30 or something. I was wandering the streets. So yeah, I really seen the true parts of Paris, of sort of the street life. And I think that part around the stadium isn't like a Turak or a nice part of the Paris, right? So yeah, I'm just, as much as I say, like, don't go there, go there once in your life. But if you're going to Europe and you've got 2 weeks and you're choosing Paris as one of your destinations, honestly, you're wasting your time.
Oh, I love it.
There's so many nicer places in Europe than Paris. And even in France itself, there's probably a lot nicer places. Not probably, there is.
Cop that France at the moment.
How are the athletes supposed to perform at their peak performances with those conditions? Exactly, Global. You're on the money. They won't. They're freaking vomiting after the triathlon, after they get out and that's the first leg. They get out of the water and they start vomiting. How are they supposed to then ride the bike and then run after that?
Well, they're vomiting because they swallowed about 2 gallons of sewage water.
Yeah, they swallowed my shit I left there back in 2010.
So you're admitting publicly on this podcast you shit in the Sine River, did you?
Oh, well, I shat in the toilet and then I flushed it, and because their sewage system's so old and crepit, it fucking made its way into the river.
You're actually an idiot. That's I don't even know what I'm doing here, to be honest. I'm trying to find the great man.
What's next? What's next?
Hobby talk, mate. Come on.
Hobby talk. All right. Roll into it.
Let's talk about the national. It's done and dusted, obviously. I have heard that it wasn't as busy as previous years. This is what I've heard. I heard that there was a lot more local people involved at this one. It just, the vibe was different from last year, a lot different, and that could be because the hobby another year on from the last national. You know, it's dipped again. So I don't know, but I have also heard that a lot of people had a lot of fun there, which always happens. And the hobby it was great, but it was just not like past years. So
I think a lot of that comes down to also the location, and we've heard it from people here that have been to the national multiple times, that flown from Australia, gone to Cleveland, and also gone to Chicago, and they everyone says that it's a Chicago location. The way it's set out and everything is just so much better. Does that have a factor with how many people decide to rock up to the Cleveland one? I think it would. It would. You got even people from the States saying that the Chicago venue and the way it's all set out is much better. So I think there would be that in part, that would be part of the issue. And, in the next 3 years after, obviously this year, which has just gone past, will be in Chicago. So we'll see how, that pans out with that. But you also got to remember that, and I've seen some, people speaking to this on social media, but you've got now other people in the hobby that are setting up big and grand shows. I mean, the Burbank card show is slowly turning into the biggest and baddest card show on the West Coast. So, as that evolves, maybe that itself becomes, a massive event that rivals the national. You got Fanatics that is, doing their own type of event. I think they're throwing one in New York. And how much do they dive into this space? So I think, all in all, it's an interesting time in the hobby, in terms of over there in America, not only, in the hobby in general, but in the hobby show space there in America. Like, what we've got in Australia is what we've got, and people are, so obviously the hobby hangout is the great, the biggest and baddest show that we have, and we've got the Melbourne Card Fair in between. But over there, they've got there's shows on every weekend. If you wanted to go to a show in America every weekend, you could fly somewhere and go to a show. That's how many there are on. Small
even
shows,
drive,
medium
even
size
drive.
shows. Even drive 3-4 hours, and you'd be able to go to a show. So there's that many on over there, right? But when we're talking about level or gravity of scale, to the national, there's not too many out there that are at that scale. The Burbank card show getting to that scale. Fanatics, how big the scale do they go to? The Dallas card show is pretty big. It's obviously not as big as the national, but it's big and it runs quite often. So, on the largest
Collision,
yeah,
set up by Prism God.
Oh, yeah. Look, I don't know what we can say anymore about that, but anyway, he's anyway. If you don't know who that is, don't worry about it, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to make you lose
the card show Melbourne. That's one of the biggest ones.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The card scam of Melbourne.
God.
It just makes you wonder. Like, he's obviously set that card show up as a massive. I won't get into it.
He had a footy player turn up.
Yes,
That's right.
back to the original point, Doma, which was, if the National doesn't obviously improve with their things, they will lose a bit of that sort of crowd if it's not living up to its potential. Because for years and years and years, it's been the biggest, the baddest, the best show. Everyone gets there. It's the one show you got to go to every year if you're in the States. If you're outside of the States, it's like if you're a card collector outside of the States, it's like a bucket list event. You know what I mean? It's literally like for us here in Australia, and you and I, Dom, we love basketball, we love sports, American sports. Bucket list stuff is us going to the States, going to games, going to NFL games, going to NBA games. This is a bucket list type event. How many times can we really fly over Australia in our whole lifetime? Hopefully, you have 5-6 times. Maybe you can get there, and you can get to a few nationals over your lifetime. But you hope that the ones that you do go to are in great locations, are set up well, and Cleveland hasn't given that vibe for years, and numerous people have said that. So I think it's wise that they've moved it to Chicago, and I think that accompanied with the other shows that are going on, we'll see how it all pans out. Fanatics getting into the shows as well, so who knows what they decide to do. But yeah, it's interesting, Doma.
Apparently, it was all good, but obviously, one of the biggest news stories that broke involved in this event was a case that was bought. It just happened to be during the time of the National. I don't think it was bought at the National. I don't know, but anyway, it was open. It was opened on his G6 private jet, but
flying back to Miami.
Shine bought a. It's turned out to be a resealed case of 0304 Exquisite.
09, 010. 09, 10, sorry.
No, I thought it was 0405. And then it had 09, 10 cards in it. Or was it 09, 10 and it had 04, 05 cards in it? Anyway, it was one of those.
It was 09, 10.
Okay, and it had 04, 05 cards in it.
Yeah, had older cards in it.
Okay. But anyway, he's opened this on the live, and I've gone to his page to obviously bring it up, but he's taken it down by the looks of things, so which is quite unfortunate. I want to have a look and show you all what had happened, but he was opening boxes, they were resealed, and he was just hitting. People saying that there were and you mentioned to me that potentially it was buybacks in the product, but on the last box that he didn't open, he kept it sealed. The seal was terrible. It looked like mate, the machine that we use when we go vacuum seal the salamis, mate, on salami day, the Italians, mate, that's what it looked like. It was a shocker.
Look, I don't know. I was able to watch the video before he took it down, so
I did too.
You could say, but also at the same time, was it resealed? Because he's saying, it's definitely resealed because it's got older Upper Deck Exquisite cards in there, but has he done his research? You're guaranteed two autos per box, and he got autos in each box. They just weren't the best autos, and then the other cards in the box are going to be numbered, and you can get there was multiple buybacks in that product where they bought back numbered cards from previous years and inserted it into the packs. So him getting older cards. He got like a Tim Duncan card that was from a previous Upper Deck Exquisite year. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's resealed. There's only 3 boxes in the case. So you're only opening 3 boxes with 6 cards in each box or something like that, or 6 or 8 cards in each box. I think it might be 6 cards in each box. So you got 18 cards to potentially hit something. I mean, it happens, man. There's dud cases out there. Like,
100%.
Just because you didn't hit anything, or it had older cards in there. And from what I've looked at when I went and looked at the checklist and had a look at the product info sheet before the actual product info sheet. They give you that product info sheet before it releases, and then there's the actual checklist. Well, in the product info sheet, it said find, buy back from previous exquisite years, so
he's just got a
there are going to be older exquisite cards in there. That's part of the product. So whether it's a matter of fact he didn't do his research and he's not aware that that's going to be the case, or if it did actually. Plus, also the video that he did was alive in the air, right? So the internet's not going to be
Oh, it was terrible.
great in the air. So it was so grainy, the video. I think it might even be Little P behind the camera because
it was Little P behind the camera.
Sounded like his
It
voice.
was.
So
confirmed.
Yeah, look, I don't want to come on here and say, oh no, it's not resealed. Like, I don't know, I need to see more evidence. But based off what I watched in the video, what I read up about the checklist, and what I seen that he did get 2 autos per box. Well, to me, it sounds like he didn't get scammed. Like, he got 2 autos per box. He got the other cards. Some of the cards, yes, were from previous years, but that was part of the product. If you read the product checklist and you read the product sell sheet, which I found easily with just a quick Google search and found it straight on the Beckett website and Cardboard Connection website. It wasn't fucking difficult. I don't actually get scared. That's just my view.
Maybe Juanito sold him the case. I don't know.
Well,
listen, Juanito, come on the show. Come on the show. Juanito, listen. I know you're in Thailand sipping pina coladas. Come on the show. Let us interview you. Don't give Darren Ravel the satisfaction. Let the Aussies interview you. Mate, you think we're going to be harsh on you? We're probably not going to be that harsh on you, to be honest, at all. Just come on the show, mate. You can come on. We'll send you the StreamYard link. You can come from wherever you are on the planet. It doesn't have to be in person. I don't care. Just come on. We'll try and message all his accounts, see if we can get him. Seriously, just come on the show, mate. They're trying to find where you are and they want all the answers. Just give them the answers that they want. Just tell them.
Mate, first we'll ask him, were you scanning boxes with a CT scanner? Juanito was ahead of his time.
That's it, mate. That's it. He sold to all these people and saved up the BBC rap. He was all over it. Oh, the CT scan and stuff's just, mate, we spoke about it last week, but it's just stupid. It's on another level, mate. The other funny thing, this is the last thing that we wanted to talk about. And it goes back to, Sources mentioned this about 4 gazillion times. The rarity of cards now, like these super short printed cards. There it is.
SSP.
Breaking news. Since yesterday's release of Panini Optic Photo, there have been at least 8 breakers that have pulled 24 plus downtowns out of 1 case each. Downtowns are typically a case hit and are 1 to a case. So 24 plus downtowns pulled out of 1 case each. All right? Not they didn't open 24 plus cases. So it's got backyard breaks, pulled 25, hobby house 25. But you get down here, I don't know if this is a typo, but Lil Pullman pulled 55 downtowns out of a case.
That can't be right.
That's got to be a typo, surely. But anyway, this is from the collectibles guru, Eric Whiteback. But it just...
Self-proclaimed collectibles guru.
Yeah, self-proclaimed.
No one else named him the collectible guru. Just to be honest,
but how crazy is it, Source? They keep telling us this is rare, that's rare. It's not. We spoke about this before, but the studio collector, he's been on this podcast before, you know?
Yep.
And he's got some of the first downtowns.
Correct. Because they were in that product.
Studio.
Yep.
And they were so rare. And he's got, I think he's got the set of the first downtowns.
So
rare.
Look, I think we've talked about this, before. When,
we have.
As these SSP cards got more and more popular, they got more and more demand. People, and the reason why they got the demand was, one, sick designs. They had some great designs on them, right? 2, they were actually rare. They were a super short print where, you were only getting one of them per case when you opened up a case. And 3, people, that's, those 2 reasons. And 3, that's why they fell in love with them, right? Because of those first 2 reasons. So now there being 20 plus in one case, meaning one per box, that's ridiculous. Like, that's not super short print. It doesn't make them rare. It doesn't make them, an awesome card to collect. It just feels like they're just like another. They've now been thrown in there as another insert because, when there's that many of them out there, it's really it's not that rare. So it just
do the maths. Do the maths. All right, one case. All right, 25. One case, 25 downtowns in a case.
That means 2 per box.
All right, 2,000 cases is 50,000 downtowns. Is a super short print still? Do the math. That picture alone, Source, that picture alone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll take out the little pool man one for a second. 7 cases. 50, 100, 150, 175 in 7 cases.
Okay, 175, and let's times that by 1,000.
Just go 20. Cases. Yeah, just go 25 times 1,000 is 25,000.
So you're telling me in 7 cases there's 100.
There's got to be more than 2,000 cases though.
Let's just times that by. Well, if we times that by 1,000, that would be technically 7,000 cases. So let's times that by.
No, it's 1,000 cases times 25. So that's how many are in a case, and it'll be 25,000. Yeah.
If you had 1,000 cases, there you go. Yeah. So every 1,000 cases, we're going to get 25,000 downtowns. Like, ladies and gentlemen, it's not rare. It's not a rare card, and this brings it back to you need to do your research on this sort of stuff. If and look, hopefully, look, if you're a person who would love to buy those early year downtowns or love to buy those early year. Here's another one, blank slates. They were very rare when they first came out. Now they're seriously overprinted. They throw them in there in, the Court Kings set and, bump up that price of that set, saying they got these SSP blank slates in there that are, really easy to hit, a lot more easier than the early years. You got to do your research. You got to understand what you're buying, Yeah, all right. If you're a person that couldn't afford the early downtowns, you're great. You're happy that there's these downtowns, there's more to hit because now you might be able to get one of your favorite player. Great. But the market needs to adjust to that. You can't be charging the price for these downtowns now what you would be charging for the earlier downtowns just because they're not as rare.
Mate, it's a Fugazi, mate. Because they were rare in the past, that means they add more. So they think, there's more rare collectibles in a box. That's the way that it's marketed, mate. It's just the Fugazi, mate. Like these people they're being brainwashed. Don't get sucked in, ladies and gentlemen,
because if you do, if you do get sucked into it, mate, you're actually buying a card that's not that rare. And when you think about it, if you're spending the amount that you're spending on some of these downtowns and what they cost, that you could turn around and potentially maybe even just buy an on-card auto of that player, why the fuck would you do it? Like, why would you just buy an on-card auto? Like, to me, as I've told numerous times on this show, like collecting autos is my favorite thing to do in this hobby, mate. You know what I mean? Like, come on,
mate. You're a wizard with the transition, mate. Speaking of on-card autos,
the Peloton Tyson Beck.
Speaking of Tyson Beck and on-cards, bang. If you haven't listened to his episode with us, he spoke about he wanted to do sets. He's got a set at the moment, all right, that he's trying to do a 5-card Hall of Fame Legends NFL set. First one, he announced Barry Sanders. Second one, he announced Emmitt Smith. Third one, he announced Dan Marino. Now, I G'd up when I saw this today. Because I'm a Dolphins man.
Dolphins fan.
Right? 4 and 5 haven't been picked, but I'm going to guess them right here, right now. And he has not said anything to me. The fact that he's gone down this path, I asked if it was going to be Deion Sanders on the podcast, and he said no. All right? So if Deion Sanders is not in this, I think surely Lawrence Taylor is in this.
Yep.
And Troy Aikman.
Okay, maybe. Because he said he
but if Troy Aikman's not in it, John Elway.
Might not be. Yes, I think it's John Elway. I'm with you on John Elway. Go back to the Emmett Smith one and go to the Jewel. Have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, how good's that? Got their yards, got the inscriptions. People are hyping up in the comments.
It looks like a flawless card, but it's better. It's just better because it's Tyson Beck and it's on card.
The QC's on point.
Oh.
And look, if the grading if what the PSA is grading his cards doesn't go to show that his QC is on point, and if you've listened to any of the podcasts that we've had him on, and he's talked about the stuff that he goes over his QC and he gets extra signed, just in case, and he makes sure he checks things.
Dan the man.
And you got to also remember
his card's so sick, man.
Let me just put this reminder out there, ladies and gentlemen. Tyson is one man working with himself. By himself, right? Panini, Fanatics, they have this big grand bank of money, right? And they still can't produce cards half as good. So support the man, shop.tysonbeck.com. Get there. Find out the information. Make sure you join his Discord. Follow him on Instagram. Join up to his email list as well, because he puts out all the information of when they're going to be on sale and whatsoever there, and keep up to date.
Immaculate. Sorry, Ashton. Good way to correct me. It does look more immaculate than flawless. Correct. Tyson Beck just hitting it out the park, mate. Just hit it at the park. Sauce, you hit the money with that. They've got a whole company, and he's one man, and he's just putting them to shame. It's the best. On that note, we're done and dusted. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy another week. The turnaround will be pretty quick. We should be back on deck on Tuesday, hopefully next week. We just had some stuff happen this week. We'll be busy. But hopefully we're back regular programming next Tuesday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy your sport. Let's see what happens to the Bombrays. We'll see what happens, mate.
I'm going to the game on Sunday, so it could come in somber mood next week. Again.
Oh, dear.
I'm not expecting much.
Keep living, loving, and breathing sport. Double coverage. I'm Dom with a great man Sauce. Peace.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave a review on the Apple Podcasting app. Also, follow us on socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Talking all sports. Double coverage.